Hi, it's Gadget UK here again. Happy New Year to all. As you can see, we've got a PC Engine Super CD-ROM² again here. So this is a different one. This is I've still got my unit. This is one for a friend actually. I said I'd recap this for him. He said it was suffering from audio problems. I'll switch it on. I'll just point you at the screen. Hang on. So apologies, it's quite bright actually in here at the moment. So yes, I'll hit the run button. I've got a disc in. I've got Castlevania. Can you hear it? Seeking away. Can you hear that? Like a multiple seek. So struggling to read there, could be the laser. I suspect the caps are going to have a bearing on that though. Now it's warmed up a bit because I did test this a minute ago and it took a good 45 to 60 seconds just to get beyond a black screen there. And strangely enough, I never heard the Konami sound there. Can you hear that distorted? So yeah, I'm guessing this is going to be exactly the same as the one I looked at previously. So there won't be much to show. I'll perhaps just show some of the cleanup and removal and stuff of a few caps. It's going to be quite short compared to that last PC Engine, Super CD-ROM² repair I did. But I'd just be curious to see what the caps are like in here. Is it the same caps, all the stuff on the power supply and the ones near the the H-bridge drivers, what they are, or any of the SMDs? Will those need swapping out? I'm not sure. Well, the interesting thing here, right off the bat, I can now prove that these are supposed to ship with these little, I said Torx I think in the previous video, they are Torx, but they're the ones with the pin, which is a class as security Torx I think. There's a pin in the centre. So you can use a flat blade like this if you just get it. It needs to be wide enough, so I'll get a slightly wider one, but you can use a flat blade there to get those screws out if you just get between two of the contacts there. Two of the angled bits. That was actually a technique shown recently on one of Global Garage's videos. Actually, I'll post a link down below. He was looking at PC Engine Duo RX actually, doing an RGB mod to it. So that's an interesting point. So I'll get these 5 screws out, but they're all like that. All 5 are like that. So that's good to know, I guess. So another interesting thing here is someone has been inside this before, I think. If I just zoom a little bit, can you see the state of the solder on the shield in here? I don't think that's factory. Someone's been in this and tinkered. And the way these caps are on the board here, they just don't look like, they're not the same type of caps I had on mine. It could just be, they've used different caps, but the way they're at, that's a weird angle. See this one down here? It's like it's not even straight on there. I can see some corrosion there, some corrosion down there. So it may be that 1 or 2 of the caps were swapped, but not all of them, and the corrosion may not have been cleaned up. But it could also be, let's say, some of the SMD ones. We'll have a look once I get the drive out in a sec. And I'll just take off this mixing board now. This is where the various audio inputs are mixed, I think. So we'll have a look at that. Yeah, so again, I can see someone's been tinkering with this. Maybe someone's had a go. Resoldered the op-amp connections on here, thinking that was the problem, because there is a little amp there, these little op-amps, those little 8-pin devices. That might even be an op-amp, I'm not sure. And we've certainly got an Oki, sorry, I'm not going to be able to see it. Yeah, you can, now it's refocused, an Oki chip down there, I think that's an op-amp. And in fact there's a couple more, can you see them? It's incredible how many there are on this. So yeah, someone's been tinkering with this board, certainly. They've reflowed the connections there to try and solve it. So I'll reflow those, but I don't know if you can see here, the solder points are super clean. We've got no discharge or oxidization, they're nice and silver all the way around there. So I'm guessing the SMD caps are going to be fine again on this, and I do think it's going to be the PSU, but I will clean that up now before I do anything else, because that needs tidying. So you can see I've reflowed those connections there, they're looking pretty good. Someone's been tinkering, let me just get something to point with. These resistors here, I've had to reflow those. They are supposed to be joined in the middle, but there was a blob of solder that just looked awful there. I'm not sure what's happened there. And you can see a similar thing here. Can you see some solder has got in various places, and if you look at the board in the right light, I can't see any now from through the viewfinder, but there's some here speckles of solder and a bit of solder around there. I think what's happened is someone has swapped that chip out. If you look around this way, you can see one of the pins here looks a bit dull. If you get in the right light, you can see it's making a good connection, but I think someone's replaced that chip there. I'm pretty sure. They've assumed that that's perhaps the problem with the audio, but it's not. I'm damn sure it's not. This board will be fine, I think. So yeah, I'll just finish cleaning up here, and then I'll get onto the main board there and have a look at the power supply side of things. And yet another difference from when I did that repair of mine, there was a screw here. So I've got a screw missing on mine. I'll need to source one exactly the same size as that to replace the one I'm missing. So another useful tip that I didn't show on that last PC Engine Super CD-ROM², is, can you see the little slot? And there's like a little notch in the middle of those two pieces of plastic there. And you just push the little notch down carefully with a pointy tool like that, can you see? And then on the other side, as you can see, the plunger has come out. These bottom bits will fall off. Yeah, so one goes there and one goes there. There's nothing in the middle. That's where the sensor pillar goes, I think, for the screw that goes into the case. And this is the side that had the missing screw on mine. Yeah, we've got exactly the same thing going on. All these little SMB caps are fine, no problems at all, just as the last one I looked at there. But you can just about see down here. This is nowhere near as bad as it was on mine. Can you see? It's like an orangey sort of colour here on these. So these are just started to go. These blue ones again looks fine, nice and super shiny, no problems at all. So it's again like it was on mine. It's the black ones with the silver print and the silver bands. And down here, sorry, it's hard to get the right angle. We've got some corrosion. I'll see if I can just change the angle slightly. It's not the easiest thing to film, actually. Managed to zoom in rather than have you on macro because I can't get the camera any closer. But yeah, the ones again around these black caps, you just see some down there. You can see some corrosion. So let me try and zoom in. Yeah, rather than using macro, zoom is working better actually. Can you see? Dirty. And again there, dirty and grey. So it's going to be, just swap the caps out on the PSU section again, I think. So I've got an NEC PC Engine Super CD-ROM² cap kit here from console5.com. I'll post a link down below, but yeah, it's just console5.com. The only thing I don't like about some of these kits is it would be nice if all the SMD caps had SMD, replacements here, and they don't. That's not what they do. So I mean, I've not used the caps for the power supply side here. In fact, I've not really used any caps from this at all. It was something I purchased in advance of that last repair, but I ended up putting my own caps on there because I had all the right sizes in stock already. But this does mean now that hopefully I should have a full set here for the power supply side. I think that's what these are going to be down here. So we'll open this up and get the shielding off here. I'm going to need to use my desoldering station again and the soldering iron there in order to get that shield, the shielding off solder from this side. It looks slightly different to mine actually. The shielding seemed to be a bit larger on mine and protrude a lot more. So I mean, I could be wrong. I'd need to look back at my old video, but yeah, I mean maybe that's not been off before. You can see that looks pretty old, that connection there. So I'm not really sure. Maybe someone did tinker on this side and then not follow through and remove it. I'm not sure. So apologies for the rain and the lighting's not great in here at the moment. The power jack here, we've got bad connections there. That needs reflowing. There's a bit of corrosion. Can you see these 2 points here are the cap on this side here that I'm going to remove first. And you can see here some discoloration on one of the wires. So some corrosion has leaked through there. And if I just flip this over, and again, you're not going to be able to see this very well, but this here should be silver. That connection, it's black, it looks almost the same as the plastic. There's tons of corrosion that's leaked from this cap here and it's affected that power connector there. So we'll get this one off first and I'll show you what the PCB looks like, and you might be able to get a better angle there with a bit more light once this cap's out of the way. So there you go, you can see just how bad that is. This should be silver, let's say it's green, and we've got loads of corrosion there, an absolute ton of it. So all I'm going to do here initially is just clean with the cotton bud and some IPA. and hopefully you'll be able to see what a difference that makes actually. You know, the other telltale sign is when you're desoldering these points here, you smell of fish. You can see how black that cotton bud is there, but you know, look how clean the board is there now, just in that single pass really. I'm surprised that there isn't more corrosion. Sometimes they're a lot worse than that. There don't appear to be connections on the top side here. There is a through hole, you know, to the other side there on that positive connection, I think. In fact, that's negative. I think we're negative towards the connector here. I think I'll double check that. But yeah, I'm not sure what to do about that DC jack actually. I might just get the wire brush onto the edge of that, actually just try and clean that up. Strictly speaking, it's probably worth taking off the DC jack and replacing it completely, but hopefully you can see the difference there now. That's super clean. So hopefully you can see the difference there. I just got the wire brush onto that and cleaned it up quite nicely actually. So what I'm going to do is get a bit of flux on there and just reflow from this side here to make sure we've got a nice good clean solder connection there. The socket's actually alright, it's not like the corrosion's got into it, but it has obviously affected you know, the points under here, so I'll reflow from this side as well and then just clean up with some isopropyl as well. So I need to clean up here, and also that connection there is connected on this side. It's just you can't see it very well because obviously a bit of corrosion there around that. So I'll do the same thing I did previously, which is you get some flux on there and then use the desolder braid and just leave the solder braid on there, you know, to suck up the solder, and it'll remove that corrosion from this side here. You can't really see it very well because it's such a small bit of exposed copper that it looks like there's just nothing there, but there actually is. If you zoom in with a magnifier, I can see just a very thin black line around the outside there, so that should clean that up super clean, but there's no pad on this side here for that connection. So hopefully you can see this. There's not really very much to see, but I've got some flux, chip quick flux onto that pad there, and we'll just get, in fact we'll just add a bit of solder, just use the soldering iron to add a bit of solder there. Yeah, there's a tiny bit there, not a lot, and then we'll just heat up the desolder braid and just give that a bit of a wiggle around there. I can tell when it's reached temperature because it slides around quite easily. Can you see that? Hopefully you can see that. That's super clean there. So we'll just repeat with a bit more solder braid here. And I find that's the technique really. You don't need to scratch around them or anything really. Just that initial clean with the IPA, then get some flux and solder on there and use a bit of the solder braid, and you can suck up the old dirty contaminated solder. You can see now we've just got a big blob of solder there because that's nice and exposed. So I'll clean up with some cotton buds and just and I'll reflow that. I'll do that the same way, just get some flux on there, reflow that, and I'll show you the end result. Yeah, so that's about as good as it's going to get for the moment. You can see the barrel jack connector there. It's making a pretty good connection actually with that solder now, and the pad there on the left is you know, exposed and nice and clean. Bear in mind, like I said, there isn't one on the right. So we'll get that new cap on, and I'll just work my way through the other caps. So I'll perhaps just show you the corrosion as I've removed one or two, but I'm not going to bore you with removal and resoldering them all. So I've reflowed the DC jack from this side and just cleaned up round here. There's still a tiny little bit of corrosion there. By the time I've got the cap in there and solder, that should be good as new, I think. So yeah, I'll get that one on there and I'll just work my way around. Another useful tip I'll give you if you're working on one of these, as soon as you take it apart, just fold the wire over slightly here like this, and then just tape it down onto the shielding here. Bear in mind you might need to take that off if you want to inspect or, you know, replace the super cap or replace the SMB caps there. But while you're working on the underside of the board, tape that down just so that every time you're turning it around and stuff, you're not putting tension on here, because these can break super easy. I did have that with mine actually, and I ended up having to strip the wires and put them all back in again. It was an absolute nightmare. So just thinking ahead now, I thought I'll do that just to make sure I don't repeat the same mistake I made last time, and I'll share that with you. Quick progress update here. So I've replaced that 1000 microfarad there, that's 330 microfarad, 47 microfarad. You see I've just removed two from here, so the pads again corroded. I'll show you the caps in a minute. The caps are horrendous actually, the underneath of the legs. But yeah, so I need to clean those two up, and then I've got these two to remove, and that's all the ones on the power supply done. These two here are okay, and then I'll do exactly what I did. So I'll tilt you up a little bit on mine, swap that block there, and just check these, but they look okay. And just like last time, the pads around the caps here are really corroded, as you can see. So in general, it's exactly the same as the one I did before. All the same caps in the same positions, the same corrosion. All the SMD ones are fine. So just like on the last video, replaced all the caps around the PSU apart from these two here. They're a different brand, they're fine. And the same thing up here, a block of 4, those 3 are fine. And all the other caps on the board, including all the SMDs, look absolutely brand spanking new. So yeah, I would suggest that that's going to be a common pattern. I wouldn't imagine you'd need to just come onto one of these and just replace all of the SMD caps here. And the sound problem could throw you into the area of looking at the mixer board here and the op amp that's on board as well, on the motherboard. But like I say, as we've shown, and hopefully we'll see in a minute when I power this up, the audio problem will go away, and I'm damn sure it's going to be a combination of these affecting the drive and the power supply lines for various things, including the op amp probably. So all reassembled, just need to get a quick clean before I send it back because it's a bit dirty. There's some muck and stuff you can see in the slots and things here, but yeah, I'll give it a gentle wipe. So a quick look on macro here at some of the caps. Can you see the corrosion on those legs there, yellowy browny sort of stuff? And they're all much the same. You can see there it's like furry, you know, there's like furry stuff. Every one of these has gone the same way. There isn't one that I've took off that's been okay, and look at that one there, that was the 1000 microfarad there on the power supply. So yeah, but it was worth doing this video I guess, just to show that it's the same caps in the same positions on the same system here again. You know, none of the SMDs are affected, they're all okay, but every one of these had leaked. The board was black underneath every single position where those were removed from. So I pointed you at the screen there, just get it set to boot. Yeah, that's loading. Now I think when I loaded this before, it was missing the sound on the Konami jingle here. Yeah, that's working fine. Sorry, I know the brightness is playing havoc with the camera there, I just noticed it sort of fading in and out. But yeah, as you can hear, that sounds fine. Sorry, cat's knocking the camera. Yeah, sweet, that's perfect. I'll start the game, I'll load. I don't know if I've got a save, I think I've just got a save. I created a slot before, I don't think I've actually got off the first level. Yeah, there we go. So let's game start. Sorry, cat biting me now. I don't think it reads CDRs quite as well as mine. This, it could be that the laser's a little bit worn on it, but it's, you know, it's reading discs fine. As you can see, that's working fine. Sorry, I had to make a cut there. The cat keeps knocking the camera. It's really annoying me. I've got how you do this now. I think you can blast it back in, can you? I can't remember. Sweet. Sweet, that's working fine. Anyway, sorry there wasn't a massive amount to show you. It was just worth covering anyway, I guess. Not got much else to show at the moment. To be honest, not really felt like doing videos, but this was something I had to do. I've been saying I would fix this for a week or two now, so you know, with the time off at Christmas here, it seems like a good opportunity to get this out of the way. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.